things go wrong, we have to say, why does this happen to me? Why me? Why me? Why not me? No matter how bad you want to see the good out of someone, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. What you gotta understand is this: as a person, you have to stand for something, because if you don't, you'll fall for anything. If this is something I know my partner has made a conscious decision to do and it doesn't align with you or your core values, then it's time to go. Pack him up, put him in a U-Haul truck, put her in a U-Haul truck, time to get packed up, like for real. Yo, YouTube, welcome back. Day 12, still here, still rocking out, staying consistent, doing what we gotta do. I'm gonna be honest though, I ain't gonna lie. Today, before I started recording, I was gonna honestly just go to bed. Wasn't having the best day. It's been a long day, and I honestly almost just didn't record. But then I said to myself, I'm challenging myself, and I gotta stay consistent. It's mind over matter. I gotta get this. I signed up for this 30-day challenge, and I got to stay consistent with it. So I'm not leaving no excuses on the table. So I had to put my big boy pants on and, get back in that mode and get to recording. So I just wanted to share that with y'all because, oftentimes as people, as a viewer, y'all only see, the final product of what we put out to the world. And, we're human, we're humans. We're just like you all. And, we go through different things throughout the days, throughout the weeks, throughout the years. And sometimes we honestly just don't feel like doing certain things. However, when you set a goal or a task and, you're standing firm on it, you got to make things happen no matter how you're feeling. And that's what it came down for me right now. And that's why you all are still getting this video today, day 12. That's just food for thought, something to think about. We human, we feel the same way y'all feel. And, we're making it happen though. No excuses. Day 12, we're here. Let's make it happen. All right, y'all. So let's get right into this video. Day 12, we're here. Today's main focus, let's talk about getting over hard times. Whether you're going through a hard time or you're facing adversity, what are the common feelings that, obviously come with that? Fighting adversity or going through a tough time, and how to overcome that. All right, so let's get right into that. All right, y'all. So as when you think about life, things happen a lot of times that we have no control of. And a lot of the times, the only thing we do have control of, how we respond to things. A lot of times, things don't go our way and we have to just, thug it out, do what we can do, worry about what we can worry about, and kind of push forward. A lot of things happen that, are out of our control, which means that we don't have control over it. So in other words, you shouldn't pay any mind. If you can't control it, don't pay any mind. But the things you do have control, take the proper steps to do what you have to do to get through it. And one of the biggest things when adversity hit, like a tough time, the biggest thing is analyzing and, just understanding what the actual problem is. It can be anything. This can be from, a relationship standpoint. This can be from, a job standpoint. This can be from, an athlete standpoint. If things are not going the way you want them to go, it can be a relationship with your family member, a friend, associate. It don't matter. But the biggest thing when you're going through something is finding out what the actual problem is. Getting to the root of it. No matter how bad it hurts, finding out what the actual problem is. Because from the once you figure out the main source of issue, you can then problem solve and figure out what you need to do to either, solve it or move forward. And a lot of times when we look at, for an example, let's talk about a relationship. When there's a problem going on in a relationship, or if things all of a sudden come to an end, what you got to realize is, there was a breaking point at some point of that relationship. Everything's all good and gravy in the beginning, but at some point there's a breaking point. And the breaking point is the point where you go from things being all good to the complete shift, like the changer, like a game changer within the relationship. So there's something that happened, there's some type of event that happened within that relationship to cause things to go left. That comes from, constant disagreements, constant butting heads, constant arguing, but at some point, someone gets tired of something or something happens which drastically changes the relationship. But your biggest thing is figuring out whatever that is, being honest about it within yourself. Did I do all I can do to prevent this? Was this something out of my control? Was this something that, was an effect of me and my partner? You got to come to a common ground and understanding within yourself to really understand what's going on. And you have to be honest. You can't sugarcoat yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Be straight up. Because once you could figure things out right then and there, then it makes the process of really figuring out, okay, is this going to be something that I can work through, or is it something that you have to really just patch up and move forward with? Sometimes, you know, you're lucky enough to, you and your partner come to, you know, terms with stuff and understand, you know, y'all both made a mistake and y'all could, you know, work things out. And other times, you know, you get cut too deep where there's no coming back. Because there's certain things that you just can't come back from. Like, it just cut too deep. It's some, you know, the perspective has completely changed on one another, and it's hard to try to look at them the same. It's hard when you got those constant, you know, vivid memories or vivid thoughts about how this made you feel or how it made them feel and where it's at with you all right now. It's tough. Trust me, it's tough. Once you're able to analyze and figure out, you know, what the actual issue was, whether it was you, whether it was your partner, or whether it was a, you know, a mutual thing, then you can decide whether or not you want to still deal with it. You can decide whether or not it's going to make more sense to either walk away or try to figure it out. But the choice is on you. You have to figure out, you know, is it worth it? Is it worth even trying to rekindle something? Or is this something that, you know, you've seen coming already? Or it's just, it is what it is at this point. But that comes down to, you know, how you feel and, you know, what happened and whether you feel you can move forward. Because like I said, there's certain things that, you know, you get hit with that it's just hard to look at someone any different anymore. You know, it's hard to look at them the same. It's hard to get over certain things. It's hard to look certain things because it's just it's so deep. There's just certain things, you know, that you just can't come back from. The scar's too deep. And, you know, when things happen like that, it's just a matter of, all right, you know, things didn't go as planned as far as the relationship. Now I have to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to move forward or whether it's not even worth moving forward. Because you have to think about, is this something that could have been prevented, or is this something that you feel is a constant, you know, behavior cycle? Like, you have to think about all these things between you and your partner and be honest. The key is being honest. Don't lie. If you feel, listen, being truthful with yourself, with your partner, regardless of how things end, you know, that could save a lot. Just being truthful and being real about stuff. It can save a lot. It can, you know, it could be that missing piece you need to really kind of rekindle something from being honest. But remember, just because you're being honest don't mean that it's okay. That don't give you a pass of what you did. You don't get cool points for doing anything wrong. That's for one. I mean, it's like you can't do something wrong and be like, okay, at least I was honest. So now the pain's gone. Now I forgive you. It's all good now. Like, no, it don't work like that. You being honest, okay, cool. That don't fix the damage. You can't just do something wrong and then admit to it and think everything's all good. There's a cause and effect to everything. And you just have to understand or figure out whether or not you want to deal with that or not. It's tough. Trying to unsee stuff, trying to unhear things, trying to vividly see certain things that just, you know, come into your head when your partner doesn't tell you something. It's tough. You got to figure out what you want to do and figure out whether or not this is going to help you get better, help you be a better person, or is this going to make you feel like you playing yourself, make you feel like you're less than yourself, make you feel like you overstep your boundaries within yourself, within your core values, because we all have something that, you know, or things that we stand on. And a lot of times when you're, you know, in a relationship or, you know, you're close to someone, you can often bend your own boundaries just off of the strength of the relationship. And 9 times out of 10, you end up being the one hurt with the most, because when things hit the fan, you win against the grain within yourself. So that hurts even more. It's like, damn, I allowed you to make me go over my standards or boundaries to try to make you feel better, and you still come up short. That's a bad feeling, but it's a learning experience as well. So there's multiple ways of looking at things, but, you know, when you do something out of love, to overstep your boundaries, to, you know, try to make someone else feel good, and then you still come up short, things go left, yeah, that shit hurts. But it is what it is. You gotta do what you gotta do. After you identify the problem, then you decide whether or not you feel like this is gonna be something you can move forward with, or not, depending on your decision, will determine, your next steps, your next actions that you're gonna take. If you feel like this was something that could have been just a stepping stone in your relationship, or you felt like this could have been something that it was a mistake we both made, or either one of y'all made, then all right, then here's one way you can go about it. You come to conclusion, you and your partner, about the reality of things, how things have made you feel, and what it did to you mentally, physically, spiritually. And y'all got to talk it out. Talk it out. You got to talk it out. Once that happens, at least from a mental standpoint, you'll feel better because you're not holding any of, anger or stress within this person, within your body. Because when you hold on to things too long, and, it's not healthy, keeping in your emotions and trying to be too tough to let things out, when in all reality, you're harming yourself. It's okay to let it out. You got to let it out. There's too much stress going on in your body that you need to let out. So with that being said, you got to make sure you talk to your partner about whatever your problem is, and how it both made y'all feel. Come to some type of conclusion and understanding, how y'all gonna move forward, how to prevent what just happened, how to make sure what just happened doesn't happen again. And y'all got to both hold each other accountable. That's one way to go about it, and always keep God first. Pray about it. Pray His work. Make sure you keep God in that relationship as well. Pray His work. So that's just one way to go about it. Now, on the other hand, if this was something that happened that you feel like there's just no return, you have to come to a conclusion within yourself and understand that this is not something that you're going to deal with. It's not something you're tolerating. It's not something you're going for. Respectfully, you have to leave that relationship off the strength of yourself, because sometimes things, just like I said, it's just certain things, you can't come back from. Certain things you just can't unsee. You can't put a Band-Aid on anything, on everything, and expect things to be all good. Band-Aids only work for small cuts. The bigger the cut, the longer it's going to take to recover, if it's even something that can be recovered or healed. So you have to look at it from that perspective. If this is something I know my partner has made a conscious decision to do, and it doesn't align with you or your core values, then it's time to go. Pack him up. Put him in a U-Haul truck. Put her in a U-Haul truck. Time to get packed up. Like, for real. And it sucks because a lot of times when this happens and you have to make this decision, it comes from, years of being with someone, or it comes with, when you have a lot of time, within that person. You gave a lot of your time of your life with that person, and then they got to come into an end off of some BS. It'll mess with you. It'll mess your mental up. It'll have you thinking a whole bunch of wild stuff because, you go from feeling like, yeah, this is the one, to this was never the one. I was being fooled the whole entire time. Or you could have just been holding this person at a higher level than they should have been. You could have been putting them on a higher pedestal than what they should have ever been on. You had them qualified when they wasn't even qualified. They thought that was wifey, but that wasn't even girlfriend material. There was barely that. And it's vice versa for the males. Maybe he wasn't, the man you thought he was. Maybe he wasn't as loyal as you thought he was. There's different ways to go about it. But what you got to understand is this. As a person, you have to stand for something, because if you don't, you'll fall for anything. Individually, within yourself, and with your partners. You have to have some type of morals to yourself that you stand on, and understand that if these certain things get crossed, there's no returning. There's no returning. And especially if you make those things known to your partner ahead of time and they still happen, then guess what? It's their loss. You've been warned, and it's tough. Like I said, when this happens with someone that you've been with for a while, and then they come short because of a poor decision that they made, that you can't unsee, that you can't unhear, that you can't think about, like, it get crazy. It get real crazy. But you have to make that decision to leave. Because if you thought this was crazy now, it's only going to get crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. And that's always kind of like the crazy thing about things, right? Like, when things get crazy, they don't normally stop. Things just keep getting crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. And that's the crazy thing about it. No matter how bad you want to see the good out of someone, it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. But, you know, everything's a learning experience. You got to look at what went wrong in this relationship so you know what to look out for in your next one. Sometimes you're placed in people's life to make them better or vice versa. Or for you to be more aware of things that can happen that you didn't think that could happen. There's a reason behind everything. You know, you may have a partner that you think you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and things end up going that way. Because sometimes, you're just being prepared for your next partner. And you got to go through the BS. You got to go through the hard times. You got to go through the tough moments to understand, what it really feels like to be in those situations. So that if they ever do come again, you got a problem and solution for it. You got a solution for it. So it's like you got to keep a clear mind, keep an optimistic mind when things go wrong. Because it's not always just about, what happens. It's about what it's showing you, what you can learn, what you can take away. Because that is the key thing anytime something goes wrong. What did you take away from this situation, this relationship, this problem? So that moving forward, you could either avoid it or you know how to handle it. Those are the biggest takeaways you got to understand when things go wrong. And the easier you are to figure that out, the better you'll be, the more experienced you'll be, and just the more open you'll be when things are just not going right. You'll be able to detect the red flags a lot earlier, so that you could prevent a lot of things from happening. You can detect red flags within a week of dealing with someone, and then you making that decision early on whether or not you're gonna take them serious or not, to avoid wasting years of being with someone or being in the wrong place for years. So you gotta just look at things like that and be observant and be mindful and just be real with yourself. Be real, and it's just like through all the tough times, you just have to really look at things and say to you and be honest and be real with yourself about everything. If you didn't do something right, be man about it, be woman about it, and understand, because we all make mistakes, but it's about what we do after that. If we're continuing to make the same mistakes, it's the habit. This is a conscious decision that you're making. So now you have to face the consequence. But you have to be able to detect these things and just be open and be alert with red flags, with, things that just don't seem right within somebody. Or just in general. Because we're talking about overall just getting through things. And I just happen to dive into, the perspective of a relationship, because it's the same idea with any other problem you think about. You figure out what the problem is. Is it something you can either move past, or is it something that you have to just, move forward with? And then understanding that, you have to come into real terms with how you feel, how this thing made you feel, what it's doing for you. And you got to start asking yourself, instead of why me, why not me? When things go wrong, we have to say, why does this happen to me? Why me? Why me? Why not me? Why not? Why not? Why not me? Why not me go through the problems and learn from it? Why not me go through these experiences and learn from it? Why not me have to deal with a hard time and really figure out how to get through it, so that when my son or my niece or nephew goes through anything, they can come to somebody that's experienced on being in this type of situation already. The more experiences you go through, you're becoming a master. You're becoming an experienced master on real life events. So you have to cherish that. Because if you think you're the only one going through the same thing, absolutely not. There's so many other people going through the same exact thing that have encountered a similar situation, and not too many people can talk about that because they haven't experienced it. But guess who can? Raise your hand if you can. And that's why you have to look at it like that. Anytime things go wrong, you're becoming more experienced at real life events. Because guess what? People can come to you now for advice. People can come to you to talk about how they feel, about what they should be doing, what they should have been doing when things go wrong. You know, it's so many ways to look at things in life, but it's all about how you view things, how you look at things, how you interpret things. You know, the more problems you occur and get through, the better you'll be when it comes to, dealing with those type of things when they occur again. So as we look back at, what we just talked about, the key points of, getting over, adversity or dealing with a relationship, getting over that is, the biggest thing is figuring out what the problem is. As you're in the process of doing that, you have to be real with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself and understand that if you're part of the problem, be honest with that, because this is key to the healing and the solution solving. If you're part of the problem, figure out what you did wrong, what you did, and understand that you can't make that same mistake if you want to, get better for yourself and for your next partner. After figuring out whatever the problem is, thinking to yourself whether or not this is something you feel like you can move forward with, and understand whether or not you feel as a whole that you all can figure it out, could talk your problems out and figure it out. If y'all can't, then guess what? One of y'all, it's time to move on. Because like I said, sometimes people pass that limit where there's no return. Male and female, everybody got that limit. And once it gets past, there's no return. You get cut too deep. Band-Aids only work for minor cuts, not the big cuts. So if you start bleeding too much, that Band-Aid's no good. We just have to understand, there's limits to everybody. If you reach certain points with them, there's just no returning. So once you all understand, that limits were passed, there's certain boundaries that was overstepped, then you come to that conclusion, it's time to move forward. Certain things you can't unsee, and there's just certain things you can't come back from. So respectfully, if it comes to that point, then you have to move forward. However, you still have to talk out your problems. Never let your emotions, stick with your emotions. Everything bolted up. You have to express yourself, because when you don't, you create a lot more stress on your body, and it can essentially lead to health problems. So never feel like you have to bottle things up. You just got to get to that point to really, letting your feelings out, letting whatever the problem is that's bothering you, let it out. Talk to a friend, talk to God, talk to somebody. Just don't keep it bottled. Just don't keep it bottled up in you. Yeah, once you figure that out, whatever direction you're gonna move forward with, is just making sure you're real about whatever it is, and with anything that however things go, there's always something you could take away from it to either better yourself, better the relationship, or better yourself for your next relationship that you decide to get into. Everything's a learning experience. Don't ever look at anything as if, oh, it's just a bad time in my life. This is something that's building you up for something greater. You're going through these things to get through it, to season yourself, to be stronger mentally, physically, spiritually, verbally, all the above. You go through a lot of things so that you can become a better person overall. Sometimes you go through things so that you can see and detect red flags early on. Sometimes you go through hurt early because you're not being cautious and mindful of the red flags. And sometimes you got to go through things to open your eyeballs up to understand what the red flags are. It's all good. It's a learning experience. You'll figure it out. And once you do, you'll be that much better at, just being the master of real life events. And that's real. All right. So Don't keep your emotions balled up in you. Let them out. Talk your problems out. Be honest with yourself. And if it's something that, you feel like you can move forward with your partner, talk it out, hash it out, figure it out. But if that boundary's crossed, that line was overstepped, then you got to make that executive decision and, move forward with your life, because it's only going to get crazier. If you decide to stay, it's only going to get crazier and crazier. Things are going to just keep going. All right, y'all, we wrapping up day 12. It was a pleasure talking to y'all again and giving y'all some insight on how to overcome your problems or overcome anything that's, going on within your relationship. I hope I was able to provide some value for y'all and open up your minds for you all to kind of see things from a different lens and kind of be a little more aware of get through situations when they occur, because what I mentioned doesn't only apply to just relationships. It applies to any type of problems, any type of adversity. Anytime something comes up like that, you think about what the problem is, being honest with yourself, and then you figure out ways to solve the problem. If it's things that's out of your control, then you cannot worry about it. Pray on it. If it's something you can do that's in your control, then take the proper action to move forward. You got to stick with the motion and understand things happen for a reason. And when things happen to you, instead of you asking why me, ask yourself, why not me? What is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to, what did I need to learn? What did I need to open my eyes up to that I wasn't aware of before? Because now I see things clear. And that's how you gotta look at things. Turn that negative situation into positive and, see things on the brighter side. And just know that it's always something that you can grow from, no matter how bad the situation is. And the more you continue to think like that, the better you'll be, the more easier you'll be able to maneuver through life and maneuver through obstacles when they come your way. But I appreciate y'all as always for tuning in. We on the road, still grinding every day. And, if you have any questions or concerns, leave them down below. If not, I'm going to see y'all on day 13. It was a pleasure talking to y'all again. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Keep locking in, because I'm locking in, and I'm going to continue to show up. All right? I'm going to see y'all on day 13. It's your boy Big Teacher. I'm going to holler at y'all. Peace.